Okay, so welcome. I'm going to share with you a mechanical practice drill that I use, and I use to improve the way I spend my larva. So the name of the drill is the no idle larva drill, or the drone to max drill. Basically, what we're going to practice is how to check if you have new idle larva as Zerg, so that you can spend that larva immediately. Because basically StarCraft 2, there's obviously mineral and gas income, but for Zerg there's the additional third resource type, which is larva. And as with all resources, you want to spend your resources as fast as possible. And this drill is about that specifically. So what you do is you load up in a custom game, just like I just did here, with no opponent, and you should select a map that is easy to work with when, for the purpose of this drill. And what I mean by that here is you don't want to have any rocks that are blocking expansions. You want to have at least 5 bases that are easily accessible. And you just load up into this game, as you can see as I'm doing here, and you just build 3 hatcheries, get a pool, and that is what we need for this drill. We're not going to build any units except for drones, and 1 queen per hatchery, up to 5 hatcheries. And the purpose of the drill is to check. So basically, you can see here, I have all my hatcheries on my 4 hotkey. So I press 4, and then I press S to check if there's idle larva, and you can see that down in this lower section of the screen. I'm gonna tap basically 4S, and there's idle larva. Spend that larva. But yeah, at this point we're just gonna get the pull down. But basically now the drill starts. So what we're working on is the checking part, which is pressing 4S until there's idle larva, and then we spend it. And the spending part obviously is going to be overlords and drones. So what I want you to focus on right now is the lower section of the screen. You see the 0 and the 1, and how I'm gonna spend that. You tap, check. Now I'm not spending this larva because I want to afford the queen. There we go. Okay, so now it basically starts. A lot of good players are really good at this, especially in some matchups where it's very, very important that you, as a Zerg, get that economy going really fast, right? You want to get those drones going before you need to build units. And when you start building units, you want that to be backed up by as much economy as possible. And as you can see here, I try to spend the larva as soon as possible, because that's the best way that we can use the larva, right? A drone that's mining, a larva is not mining anything, right? If the larva is idle, but if we have the drone spent as fast as possible, then we're gonna be earning income off of that drone. So obviously, if you do this drill for the first time, it's not going to be as refined, right? So you're probably going to get supply blocked, you're going to miss some injects. That's fine, okay? So that's not necessarily the highest priority here. The number 1 priority for this drill is to spend larva as soon as it is available. Now obviously, if you're going to get supply blocked, you're not going to be able to spend that larva. So that's kind of implicit that we do want to be efficient in that way. But it's really not about that. Don't worry about it. Just spend the larva as fast as you can and check. Do the checking and try to spend it. Do the checking, try to spend it, and do this drill enough times, and you're going to be able to hit your overlords as well, and hit your injects as well. As you can see now, we're on 5 bases, and we're spending larva, and we're basically 430 into the game, and we're almost at 80 supply, which is pretty good. Now 436, we're at 82, so you can see how fast this ramps up. This is Zerg economy, basically. This is how you're supposed to play macro Zerg, right? If you can't do this, you're not going to be very strong in the middle late game if you want to play an economy focused game. So this I would consider this, or a variation of it, I would consider being a fundamental version of playing strong macro Zerg. Yeah, and as you can see, we're just building hatcheries and drones. There's obviously no build here. If you have a build, let's say you're going to take gas at some certain time, you know, you're going to get some tech, get some higher level units, produce units. Obviously, that's gonna be something that gets added to something like this, right? So you see here, zeros across the board. That's what you want to see as Zerg. All zeros down there. So look at that, checking, spending, zeros, checking, spending, checking, spending. And you may want to notice, if you want to get advanced, is that when you when a batch of larva pops, you're going to be able to spend the larva faster just before you can inject. If you do it perfectly, you have about 23 energy on your queen when a batch of larva pops, and it actually takes something like 1 second for the larva to land on the creep, which is what is necessary before you can spend it. But that's still 1 second or so before you can inject again. So if you really want to get into the finer details on this, you want to spend larva first, then inject for each hatch. And there's a little bit of a timing to it. If you're new to this, don't even worry about that. It's not important. All you need to know is check if you have idle larva and spend it. Basically, you should be thinking about idle larva as a form of Zerg's sin in a way. Like, we never want to have idle larva unless we have it for something specifically. Let's say you're playing versus Protoss and you're banking gas and you're banking minerals and you're banking larva because you're waiting for your spire to finish, right? And in that kind of situation, you're not spending the larva because you want to use it for something specifically, right? And that's not the case. So we're at 720, and we hit 200 supply, and all we did was build drones and queens. We had 5 queens, 1 per hatchery, and that is it. So hopefully this drill can help you a little bit, and yeah, please share any other mechanical tips that you may have. Thanks.